and welcome back to my channel, Black Imperial Travel. I know it's been a minute since we did like a sit down, let's talk kind of video on my channel, but being as that it's been 10 months since I've lived in Spain now, I know, wild, time definitely flies. I have officially wrapped up my first year of teaching here in Spain, because if you don't know like why I moved over here to Spain in the first place, was to teach English. I've wrapped up my first year of teaching, which was honestly a really cool experience. It definitely had its highs. It really didn't have a lot of lows, to be honest with you. I would say the biggest low with being a teacher is that I got sick more than I have gotten sick like in my life. It seems like I was sick so much this year. But other than being sick half of the time, honestly, the year was great. Teaching was great. I really like my school. I really like my students. And so I know now it's becoming a bit more popular. I mean, I do feel like it was popular before, but now, with social media, YouTube, TikTok, etc., I feel like a lot more people are sharing their experiences with teaching. And since I teach here in Spain, and I've had this YouTube channel for over 2 years now, Black Imperial Travel, obviously travel is in the name. I love to travel, and I always knew that I wanted to live abroad, live out of the country, so that's why I came here to Spain in the first place. But the reason I'm making this video is to give you like 5 tips and tricks as a teacher here in Spain. I will say this is a video that I would watch if you're interested in being a teacher in Spain and you want to know like what it's like. And this is a video that I would watch if you have been accepted to teach here in Spain, so that you get a little bit more of the feel for what your experience could be like teaching here in Spain. This video is not, I would like to preface, this video is not going to go into depth about like the bureaucracy, the visa process, things like that. This video is specifically about the teaching position and tips regarding the teaching position itself here in Spain. So if you do want me to make a video about like the bureaucracy and like how I did my visa and all of that type of paperwork type stuff, I can make a video about that. Just let me know in the comments. But this video is all about teaching. So if you're interested in coming to teach here in Spain, or it could be another country, but I can only speak from my experience. So I am, American, US citizen, coming over from the States. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, 704. So I came from Charlotte to here in Santander, Spain, to teach. So if you're interested in learning more about, the teaching position, what it was like, and some of my tips and tricks regarding that, then this video is definitely for you. So keep watching. The first point that I have wanted to bring up, because a lot of people have this question, to my knowledge, and as the program as it is right now, again in Spain, I can only speak for Spain, you don't need a TEFL, a teaching certificate kind of situation to do this type of program. They do sometimes encourage that you have a TEFL. I think TEFL as an actual acronym, TEFL, means Teaching English as a Foreign Language. So a lot of people, may have the TEFL certificate. I want you to know that specifically for the program here in Spain, you do not have to have a TEFL certificate. I personally don't have a TEFL certificate. I know people that do have it, but I also know a lot of people that don't have it. What I will note about the certificate is that if you see yourself teaching English, long term, possibly in other countries, it may be something you might want to invest in. Just keep that in mind if you're looking at other programs, but specifically for here in Spain, it is not required that you have a TEFL certificate. I honestly don't plan on getting one. I feel like my experience now will speak for itself. But if you feel as if that's something you want to pursue long term, that might be a better option for you. But if you're someone who wants to come teach for, a couple years and you want to stay in Spain, save your money and don't worry about it. I promise you'll be fine. Going on with point number 1, something I forgot to mention in regards to point number 1. This is why I have my notes. But most programs do require a bachelor's degree. I personally have a bachelor's degree in finance with a minor in Spanish. So obviously that's why I wanted to come over to Spain. You see the connection there. Not all programs require a bachelor's degree, but I would say that most programs do. So that's also something you want to keep in mind. No, you may not need a TEFL, but most programs do require a bachelor's degree. But I know for fact that there are at least a couple programs out there that accept like an associate's degree or something of the sort to teach here in Spain. For my second point, a lot of people assume that if you're coming to teach here in Spain, that you need to know Spanish. And I will say that that is not necessarily true. In the bigger cities like Madrid, Barcelona, there are a lot of people who speak English because a lot of those cities are major tourist hubs for Spain. Sevilla, Valencia, those types of cities, a lot of people speak English. I visited those cities, and even though I do speak Spanish, I found plenty of people who also spoke English. What I will say is that if you are in a smaller city, like for instance, I'm here in Santander. Santander is a smaller city. I think the population is like 200,000 people. To me, that's a small city. Okay, there are not nearly as many people that speak English here in Santander. So I will say that you want to, regardless of where you move, right, or where you're interested in going, I will say you're going to want to brush up on your Spanish or begin learning Spanish, because it's just going to make your life easier when you speak the language that the locals speak where you live. I have been studying Spanish, honestly, probably like seriously since middle school. And as I stated earlier, I studied Spanish in college and I had a Spanish minor. When I came over here, I would say that I just got more confident in my Spanish because I was speaking Spanish every day. But I feel as though even though I live in a smaller city, like the locals are still nice. Like they want to help you learn Spanish. Like, just practice with them. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm new here. Just learn a few phrases. I'm new here, but I want to practice my Spanish, And I feel like people will kind of help you along the way. I know obviously a lot of people use Duolingo. I mean, Duolingo is an okay resource, but if you are like serious about learning Spanish, I would say get yourself a private tutor. Get yourself a private Spanish tutor. There are plenty native Spanish speakers who teach classes online. I know my best friend is learning Korean on this app called like italki or something. I'll have to find the app so I can put it over here. But you can find people who are native speakers in Spanish and, just pay them, their rate. If you're serious about learning Spanish, and you have little to no foundation, but you want to become more confident before your move, that's what I would recommend, because, it's going to make your life easier here knowing Spanish. You have to remember, you're not just teaching here, you're also living here. Like I mentioned earlier, I've gotten sick here. I've had to go to the doctor. Obviously, my doctor doesn't speak English. I've had to go to the doctor multiple times. I've had to go to the dentist. Obviously, they don't speak English. So, and you're looking for an apartment, obviously, they don't speak English. So these are things that you're going to want to keep in mind with, your move or potential move, is the fact that, yeah, you probably should want to learn more of the language before you come. But it is okay if you don't know the language right now, because you can learn as you go. My third point is also a very popular and common hot topic, but just think about it for a second. You're coming to Spain to be a teacher. If you are American like me, you know teachers in the US don't get paid, you know, what they should be getting paid. I would say it's the same here in Spain. So my point and my advice, serious advice for you, is to make sure that you have a good chunk of savings before coming to Spain. This is my personal opinion. Some people may feel differently, but I would also like to note, as I mentioned earlier, I do have a bachelor's degree in finance. I believe that what we are paid here as teachers is enough to cover your rent, your utilities, your groceries, and if you want to go out, you know, sometimes with your friends in the city that you live. That is how much we are paid monthly, once a month. And in most cases, because we usually start work in October, we normally don't get paid until mid-November for our first payment, because you're always paid a month back. So naturally, a lot of people, when they live in Europe, they say, hey, I want to travel. I want to go here. I want to do this. I'm not saying that that's not possible, but what I am saying is that you want to have a savings nest egg to be able to do those things, to be able to travel, to be able to see. You can get around Spain and, you know, some of these other places, you know, pretty easily and cheaply, you know, train, bus, you know, there's some cheap flights here and there. But just keep in mind, like, the rate of tourism is rising everywhere. Like, stuff is expensive everywhere. Inflation is not just something that's happening in the States. It is everywhere. And it is here in Spain. It is very expensive. And it only gets more expensive during peak season. Like right now, June, July, August, September. Those 4 months, it is very expensive to travel throughout Europe. To save yourself some pain and some heartache and some calls back home begging who knows what for money, save money now. I'm not telling you how much to save, because everyone's lifestyle is different. Just think about the timing. Think about your lifestyle now. Think about the lifestyle that you're going to want to upkeep or maintain while you're here in Spain, and just save whatever amount that is for you. But I definitely recommend saving some money, so that you're not out here lost and confused and sad and waiting on payday. That's all I'm gonna say about that one. My last couple of tips are more in relation to the teaching position itself. So my tip number 4 is make sure that, you know, when you get to your school, you're curating great relationships with the teachers at your school, the administrators at your school, the students at your school. You'll see their parents, the parents at the school. You want to make sure that they know who you are, you know, what you're there doing. You know, you're excited to work with their children, or if you're with the teachers, you know, you're excited to, you know, work with their students, or with the students, you know, you're excited to work with them and to get to know them more. The job is much easier when you have a great relationship with your school and your staff and everyone in that environment. I think that the reason why I had such a good experience is because my school was so welcoming, and I was excited to be there. And, you know, I tried to learn everyone's names. You will have a lot of students. If your setup was anything like my setup, you have like so many classes and like over 200 students probably, because I taught the entire school. I had one class each with the entire school throughout the week, you know, that I would work. Well, let me back up. The structure here is that you do work not a normal schedule. So my schedule was, I worked Wednesday through Friday. So keep that in mind. You know, you get some time off, you know, you can travel, get a long weekend, things like that. But Wednesday through Friday, I would have my classes, and I would go to each English class at the school and have my lesson with them. Now, I was in a primary school, so I taught ages 3 all the way to ages 11. So the 3-year-olds all the way up to the 6th graders, because that's as high as primary school goes here in Spain. Naturally, I had a lot of students to see a lot of names to learn, but when they see that you're trying to make a connection with them, it makes your classes go much smoother, much easier. They're more apt to want to learn because, I mean, think about it. English to them is a second or even third language. Like, this is not their primary language. And some of them are apprehensive to learning English, and some of them honestly don't want to. So you have to make it fun and exciting, and a way of doing that is by getting to know your students and really honing in on who they are, but also with the teachers so that they can help you with resources, with lesson planning, etc., and with the parents, because some parents may want to hire you to do private lessons for their kids outside of school, and that's another way that a lot of people out here earn extra money on top of what we already do with our work in the school. So you see how all of this ties together. You make good connections, it makes your job easier, it makes your life easier, and you might be able to earn a little extra change. My fifth point and tip or whatnot, but a lot of people are concerned about them not having teaching experience. You don't need teaching experience to come to Spain to teach English, and I'm going to tell you why. The reason is because we are teaching assistants. We are English language cultural assistants. We are there to assist. In all of my classes I was paired with an actual teacher of that class who would say, hey, Tamaya's gonna come in, she's gonna do her lesson for the day. You know, the teacher does most of the discipline. You know, if the students are acting up, the teacher usually handles that. The teacher knows, you know, who the students are, students' weaknesses, the students' strengths. So you are coming in, like I said, once, maybe twice a week as an assistant to aid in their knowledge of English from a native speaker. Culture, obviously I teach them American culture, more specific to my experience, Black Southern American culture, because that's who I am. So this is what you're coming in to teach them. Culture, grammar, you know, syntax, reading. You read with them, you help them with their pronunciation, writing, but you are not the sole teacher. You will not be the sole teacher in the classroom. You are there to assist. So don't be afraid if you don't have teaching experience, and don't be afraid that you're going to be the only person in the classroom left with like 25 kids. You'll be fine. The teachers are there. The teachers are there to help you, and you are just there to guide and teach your lessons that you have prepared for the English class for that day, but you are not the sole person who is responsible for the class. That is why I encourage people, if you've never taught before, if you've never had experience with children, like, it is okay. I did have that experience as I worked at Kumon literally for 5 years. I worked from Kumon from when I was 16 to 21. So I had experience with like tutoring kids of all ages in like math and reading and writing. I'm obviously a financial analyst by trade, so I didn't have, you know, full classroom experience, but that I've just developed with the help of my teachers and just experience over time. Like, it's okay. Like, they, at the end of the day, like, they are kids. You don't have to be afraid of them. I promise. They are more intrigued by you. They're going to ask you all sorts of questions. Where are you from? What do you do? Do you have any children? Do you have a husband? Like, they are more intrigued by you than anything. So don't be afraid. You have support, and there are plenty of resources online to help with the aid of teaching English as a second, third, you know, language, etc. So remember, you are a cultural language assistant. Do not stress. There is no need to stress, because everything will be fine. You are there as a resource and a guide, but you are not the teacher, the head, the administrator. There are people in the school who are already that. You are there to help them and the students with their English. One thing I did forget to note on my last point is, obviously these lessons that you teach vary by age and grade. So as you saw, I have a wide range of students. What I do with my 3-year-olds, I don't do with my 11-year-olds. So, you know, keep that in mind. But again, there's lots of resources online. Also, you may not be like me. You may not be in a primary school. You may be in a secondary school. Obviously, with teenagers, you're going to be teaching probably lessons a bit more in depth, but still, it doesn't matter what grade, what age. Regardless, you are still a teacher's assistant, and the teachers are there to help you and to guide you. So don't worry about anything. I promise, any worries or concerns you have, everything will be okay. And in each region of Spain, there is a head. So here in Cantabria, we have a head over the entire, cultural assistance program. You can always go to that person if you have concerns, questions, anything like that. You can always contact that person. If your school is one of those schools that aren't as helpful, that's probably not going to be your experience. Most of the schools are very helpful. Most of the teachers are great people, and I promise you will have a good time. So I hope that these 5 tips or little tidbits or, whatever you want to call them are beneficial to you or to anyone who is interested in coming to teach in Spain or has already been accepted to teach English in Spain. If you have already been accepted to teach English here and you're coming for the 2023-2024 school year, congratulations. I promise, it definitely feels like you're going out on a limb, leaving your home and coming somewhere completely different to, start a new life, really. But I promise it is worth it. It can be challenging at times, but honestly, what in life isn't? Take that risk, take that leap of faith, and I promise you won't regret it. And I'd also like to note that a lot of people are thinking that this is just for young people. I'm 26. I met teachers who were 20. I met teachers who were 40. Okay? Don't let, concerns about age, race, sexual orientation, anything like that, don't let that concern you or stop you from wanting to pursue this, because it's something that is truly possible for all of us to do if you want it. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. I haven't made a video like this in a while, but I felt like it was time to sit down and have a chat and give the girls and the guys and the theys some tips on how they can make their dreams come true. I have enjoyed it so much so that I have signed on and renewed to teach another year here in Santander. So as you can see, this is something that is really enjoyable, really exciting. And honestly, if you're thinking about it, obviously research a little more. I know there's more videos like mine that are on YouTube. Check those out. But honestly, do it. do it, and I promise you won't regret it. Thank y'all for tuning in to my channel, Black Imperial Travel. If you want to see more of what my life has been like this past year living in Spain, check out my Living Abroad playlist here on YouTube that has literally everything basically that I've done this year, other than some other travel vlogs which are in my travel vlogs playlist. If you want to do it, don't let anyone convince you that this is something you shouldn't do. If you think that this is the best decision for you, then make it happen. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.